Very good evening, students. How are you? I hope you all are fine. Right, all of you stay home, stay safe, learn well. Okay, students, we are in the chapter skeletal system. Right, okay. So, in previous class, we learned what is skeletal system and types of bones in the skeletal system and functions of the skeletal system and parts of the skeleton. Okay, the different parts of the skeleton like skull, the rib cage, the backbone, and two pairs of limbs and girdle bones. Right. Friends, today in this class we are going to know joints. Okay, in our daily lives we bend, turn, and twist. What helps us to carry out these actions? Our joints help us to carry out these actions, right? So, a joint is a place where two bones are joined together. Okay, bone can bend at the joints, which causes movement in our body. The bones are joined by strong elastic bands of tissue called ligament. Okay, ligaments also protect the ends of the bones from wear and tear. All joints contain a fluid that acts as a lubricant and allows the bones to move smoothly. Okay. So students, all of you see here in this picture. Okay. The normal joints. Okay, where the two bones are joined together and X-ray image of a joint. Okay. There are two main types of joints. Okay, one is immovable joints, another one is movable joints. Okay, the joints where the bones cannot move are called immovable joints. Okay, for example, the joints of the skull and the joints between the rib cage and breastbone are immovable joints. Okay, and next, movable joints are the joints where the bones can move are called movable joints. Okay, for example, joints in hands, arms, and legs are movable joints. Okay, there are mainly four types of movable joints in our body: hinge joints, ball and socket joint, pivot joints, and gliding joints. First type of joint is hinge joint. Okay, and perform the some actions and observe the movement of bones. Okay, hold a pencil in your hand for writing and bend your arm and touch your head and bend your leg and open your mouth. Okay, you can bend your fingers, arms, legs and lower jaw only in one plane. Okay, forward and backward. It is like the joint of a door. Okay, this type of joint is called a hinge joint. Okay, students, next type of joints are ball and socket joint. Okay, take a ball and swing your arm and throw the ball. In how many directions did you move your arm? The shoulder joint allows us to move our arm in all directions. This is because of the structure of the shoulder joint. The rounded end of the humerus bone in the upper arm fits into a cup shaped socket in the shoulder. Okay, such joints in which a ball shaped end of a bone fits into the socket of another is called socket joint. The shoulder and hip joints are the only ball and socket joints in our body. Okay. Students, next type of joint is pivot joint. Okay. This joint is where the skull meets the top vertebra and it allows you to bend your head up and down and sideways. Okay. All of you see here in this picture. Okay. Students, next type of joint is gliding joint. Okay, move your wrist. Now bend and pick up paper from the floor. Okay, In this action, bones glide past one another. The joints where such actions occur are called gliding joints. Okay, gliding joints are found in the wrist, ankles, and between the vertebrae. They allow the back to bend, twist, and turn. Okay, friends, all of you see here in this picture. Okay, movement of gliding joint. Students, now let's watch a small video about joints.
Body movements and joints. You do different exercises in your yoga classes at school. For doing these exercises, you do different types of movements. For example, moving your arms and legs, forward bending, shoulder rotation, and many more. You can do these movements easily because your body is flexible. Such flexibility in our body is due to the presence of joints. Do you know what a joint is? Well, a joint is actually a place where two bones are joined together. Rest your hand against your knee, shoulder, or your fingers. You can feel your joints there. Not all joints allow movements. On the basis of whether the joint helps in the movement or not, these joints can be categorized into two types, immovable and movable. The immovable joints are the joints that allow no movement of the body parts. These are also called fixed joints. Such joints are found in the skull. Except the joints present in the skull, all other joints found in the body are movable. Movable joints are the joints that help in the movement of the body parts. Movable joints are further of four different types. They are hinge joint, ball and socket joint, pivot joint, and gliding joint. Let us learn about these joints one by one. Let us first learn about the hinge joint. A hinge joint is very similar to a door hinge. You can see that the door hinge allows the opening and closing of the door in two directions. Similarly, a hinge joint in the body also allows the movement in two directions, that is, forward and backward, or upward and downward. The elbow and knee joints are the two examples of the hinge joint. Let us now learn about the ball and socket joint. In the ball and socket joint, the end of one bone acts like a ball. This bone fits into another bone, which acts as a socket. Hence, the joint is called the ball and socket joint. This arrangement allows easy movement of the body parts in all the directions. The hip joint and shoulder joint are the two examples of the ball and socket joint. The next type of joint is the pivot joint. In this type of joint, one of the bones acts like a cylinder and fits into the end of the other bone, which is like a ring. Hence, the first bone rotates inside the ring and allows easy movement of the body part in different directions. An example of a pivot joint is the neck joint. The pivot joint allows the movement of neck sideways, upward, and downward. It even allows the rotation of the neck. The last type of joint is the gliding joint. This type of joint allows the bones to glide over each other and hence allows slight movement of the body parts. In this type of joint, the joint bones are flat and so they slide back and forth and side to side. Ankle joint and wrist joint are some examples of the gliding joint. Now, there is a special tissue that holds the two bones of a joint in position. This is called ligament. There is another soft tissue that covers a joint from outside. This is called cartilage. The bones are not visible from outside. So, in case of an injury, doctors use X-rays to check any damage of our bones. X-rays are the special rays that help to create the image of bones using radiations.
Students, in this class we have learnt what is joints and two main types of joints like movable joints and immovable joints. And this movable joints again divided into four main types: hinge joints, ball and socket joints, and pivot joints and gliding joints. Right. If you have any doubt, ask in online session. All of you should follow given worksheet. Thank you, students.